Welcome to episode 6 of the Zach and Matt Show, featuring Zach
and Matt. And where are we going today, Zach?
We're going to Vegas.
And why are we going to Vegas?
For Yangapalooza number 2.
For Yangapalooza number 2 and the
What
dinner.
is the event called? Bet on Yang?
Yes, Bet on Yang. Because I guess it's taking place in Las Vegas, so
we're gonna be high rollers hitting the slot machines.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna be putting all my money that I was gonna donate to the campaign into gambling. I'm really excited.
Nice. I'm sure Andrew will appreciate that.
Anyways, so we're gonna be uploading a lot of stuff from Vegas, like vlogs, interviews, the actual speeches and events. Mm-hmm. So make sure you tune in for that. But moving past that, we want to talk about the Democratic debate that is being held in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, next Wednesday. Zach?
On the 20th.
On the 20th. Zach, who qualified for the November debate? Or actually, should I say, who didn't qualify?
Well, Beto didn't make it, that's for sure.
Beto didn't make it, and then who's the other one? Castro. Castro didn't make it.
Yeah.
So the stage is going to be down from 12, and those two are the only outs.
Mm-hmm. So we're at 10 total?
Yeah. What do you think of Mr. Andrew Yang? How do you think he's going to perform in the next debate?
Well, Andrew stepped up his game in the last debate.
Absolutely.
Because he did a good job of actually showing some contrast with the top candidates like Warren and I guess it was mostly just Warren that he had.
He had a little bit with Bernie on the federal jobs guarantee.
Yeah. But Bernie didn't retaliate really with it.
I know, because he knows if he goes after
he's
Yang,
wrong. Yeah,
it will look bad.
Yeah. So I really want to see more of that. I want to, because how he's going to get voters is showing contrast with them and like where he has a better policy, where he disagrees with them. Because if he just goes there and doesn't really like combat other candidates at all, he's not going to get the speaking time, or really the attention needed.
Yeah. One thing I'm concerned for the next debate is the speaking time, because the last debate was 12 candidates at 3 hours. This one is 10 candidates at 2 hours. So even though it's less candidates, there's less speaking time for Yang to potentially grab. But last debate, he jumped in twice, and I would expect him to do that again if it's necessary and it's the right scenario.
I think every debate will see an improvement for Yang, because this is new to him too, the whole presidential debate.
Yeah, well, it's what he said is he once he realized that the debate isn't actually a debate, it's just a game show. That's when he said he just learned how to start doing it well.
Yeah. I mean, I wish it was an actual debate, but
I want to roll a clip right now. So play the clip.
Well, you know, like I'm holding on to like a dozen debate zingers for Trump and other people.
Just in case.
But if I bust them out in the Breakfast Club, then they're not zingers anymore. You know what I mean?
Why haven't you hit none of the other Democratic candidates with the zingers yet?
No, we got to wait until the field shrinks. I'm Mr. Positive until then.
Ooh. So when it gets down to about 4 or 5, all guns are blazing.
Yeah, wait and see. But yeah, like, you know, I mean, we have a game plan. We're sticking to it.
Okay.
So Yang looks like he is going to be taking off the gloves soon. But it's going to be a while till the debate gets down to 4 or 5, because for the December debate, I think 6 have already qualified, and it looks like it's going to be 8.
yeah.
I think 5 qualified. Because Amy qualified, and then
Amy already qualified?
yes, and then it looks like Steyer, Gabbard, and Yang will all probably qualify, which we'll get into later. But just in terms of actual debate predictions, who do you think is going to have? Who do you think? Let's start off with this. Who do you think is going to have a performance that drops them even further? How about like Kamala Harris?
Yeah, dude, her performance in the last debate was pretty terrible when she was yelling about like the social media, like get Trump suspended from Twitter. And I think she's going to double down probably in that area.
That's what I'm
Talk
wondering.
about Trump impeachment,
See,
all
like,
that kind of stuff.
What she should do, she coming into this debate, she knows that she needs to have an amazing debate. Otherwise, her campaign is going to even be further underwater. But I just don't think she's going to. Her zingers, they don't work. They just make her look worse.
For us, that it hurts her.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily expect her to I kind of expect her to just have the same debate she's had since her first good one. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really think much will change from this debate.
I'm looking for Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, she's definitely gonna do a smackdown of some kind.
She will try to. It depends if the moderators let her in. So this debate's moderated by MSNBC and I believe the Washington Post.
Oh, really?
Yes. And MSNBC in particular has been kind of unfair to Yang.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. I was reading one of the questions is going to be about China. So it'll be interesting to see if Yang gets his fourth debate question on China.
Dude, I kind of hate that they always ask him about China just because he's Asian.
I think if they do ask him about China, I bet he has a really good planned response. Because he joked about it before the last debate. He tweeted, he was like, "I wonder if I'm going to be asked about China again."
Mm-hmm. What about Joe Biden?
Well, Joe Biden,
he's going to come. He's been doing a real strong man act recently in all his speeches and town halls. He's trying to come from some kind of authority position. No, that's definitely a tone he's trying to get across. I don't know if it's hitting you, Matt, but that's what he's going for, definitely.
Okay. It works on you, is what you're saying.
Well, no, I can tell that he's doing it. Maybe you're just so done with Biden that you're probably not even.
I've never really watched a Biden event.
Yeah,
there's no point to, in my opinion. I think Biden's going to have kind of the same debate performance he always has. It's not exactly bad, but it's not exactly good. He's just going to stay where he is. And while Biden is still doing well in the national polls, he is really starting to slip in the early state polls. I think there was one that had him down to...
Wasn't he fourth?
I think he was down to, fourth in New Hampshire at 15%. Nationally, he still does well, but...
All right, here's what I want Yang to do in this debate. Just for me, if anyone in the Yang campaign is listening to this, I want Yang to go after Warren and Bernie on the wealth tax.
Oh,
hit it home because it's Warren's primary funding mechanism for all of her plans, and it's a horrible plan.
It is a horrible plan.
So Yang just needs to drive home that it's not going to get the kind of revenue she's thinking, and if it does, it's going to severely hurt the economy.
Can we just quickly destroy the wealth tax?
I was actually thinking I might want to make a video on this.
Okay, a separate thing?
Yeah, a really well-researched one.
Okay.
I had this idea a few days ago.
I like this idea.
Yeah, so maybe not in the podcast.
Okay, not in the pod. Okay, that'll be another time.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Seriously, though, Matt, I think that is his area where he could have the biggest gain. Because if he shows that is a bad funding mechanism, it means all her plans are
pretty
done.
much, yeah.
So it's people are going to be, if he brings attention to that, then all the credit's going to be going to Yang for it.
Here's one thing. It's kind of cynical, but if Yang does, billionaires and the corporate and all the establishment, they hate the idea of the wealth tax. Mm-hmm. So if they see Yang go up on stage and very effectively refute the wealth tax and explain why it's a very flawed idea, maybe the billionaires in the establishment will all take a second look at me who's that Asian guy? I don't know if we want the billionaire support, but
I'll take anyone's support.
That's kind of how I feel. As long as they're not buying their influence, they just ignore
they're Americans.
What's already going on. Yeah. What do you think? How do you think Buttigieg will? Or I want to say his name right this time.
Yeah.
How do you think Buttigieg will do?
We both thought he had a strong performance last time.
Yeah.
And I think he'll definitely carry that on.
Yeah.
Him like Yang, I think they're both getting progressively more comfortable and better as it goes on. But Pete's a politician, dude.
He is a politician.
That's the one thing I can say about him. That he's pretty good at it too. The way he answers questions in debates, he looks like he's Bill Clinton out there or something. He's stepping up to the people, being like, "Hey."
I mean, it's working because there was a new poll out in Iowa that had him in first place at 22%.
It's all the money.
It is really the money. He has over 50 state offices, and he's spending. But he's also starting. There's a bump for him now in New Hampshire as well. So I think. But here's the thing with Buttigieg. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing with him. I think in the poll that he was at like 21% or 22% in Iowa. I think he only had like 1% of the black vote.
Yeah, dude.
Or it's like if it's not 1%, it's very low.
He's going to be getting like 4% in South Carolina.
Yeah, so like that doesn't matter in Iowa and New Hampshire because they're very white states. But as soon as he gets into South Carolina, Nevada, California, he doesn't resonate with African Americans and Latinos that well.
Why do you think that is? Is it all because of the South Bend like police scandal, or is it just because his message doesn't really call to them at all?
The South Bend police scandal, if you haven't heard about it, basically I don't know the exact details. He fired the first ever like black police chief or something like that.
I don't really remember the details.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't just throw out like our guesses on into the
let's just not give details if we don't.
Basically, if you're interested in it, you can look it up. And basically, there's some controversy there. Like, apparently the black community in South Bend is unhappy with Pete Buttigieg.
Personally, when I did like read more about this in the past, I kind of forgotten about it now.
Yeah.
But I didn't think Pete was too much in the wrong. I think he did mostly what he could do.
Yeah.
And he's pretty progressive with like body cameras, mandatory on all police officers in South Bend and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's good. The thing is, this story hasn't gotten really any attention on mainstream media, so I've only heard about it through like Kyle Kulinski and the Young
all the
Turks.
lefties. Yeah.
And the problem with that is they may be right, but you want to like double check your opinion with someone who's because both Kyle and the Young Turks do not like Buttigieg.
It's definitely not good for Pete's optics with the black community.
No, and it's very hard to get like African Americans to throw their support behind you because you can't just throw out like you can't pander. Because I was watching this. Yang was on the Karen Hunter show.
I watched that.
I did as well.
Yeah.
What'd you think of that?
I thought he did pretty good.
I thought he did good. There were like 2 or 3 moments where the host like kind of really took control from him. But I thought it was
that the host was very forceful in like implanting her own ideas. But I kind of liked it. Yang received it.
At the same time, I thought she was respectful, and I thought she did bring up good responses. And what I liked about it was even when she would kind of interrupt Yang and go hard at him, Yang just took it cool and calmly. And I'm just thinking like, if I was in that situation, I'd be getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Which tells you a little bit about like Yang's temperament, if you want to use that word. He's very even keeled.
Well, the thing with Yang also is he's very sure in his ideas. Like he thinks he's thought everything through, and
he wrote a whole book on his entire platform.
Yeah. So if someone brings something up to him, he knows what they're talking about, and he's also sure in himself in that he will get them to agree with him. Just because he views that as like factually correct. Like,
yeah. So if you want to see that interview, it's available on the Karen Hunter show on YouTube. And then also this week, Yang was on the Breakfast Club. So if you haven't seen that,
was a good interview.
Check that out as well.
The woman host on the Breakfast Club wasn't there this time.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't like Yang.
Oh, does she not?
Yeah, well, I don't know for sure, but she said after the last debate, like he was like she called him one of the biggest losers of the debate. Like,
all right, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
I agree. Okay, I have a thing up here of everyone who made the debate. Okay, so Joe Biden, we've already talked about him. Cory Booker, what do you think?
It's going to be lackluster. It's just going to be standard Cory Booker.
He's going to sound great. He's going to look great. But other than that, nothing's going to happen. We already talked about Buttigieg. I think Tulsi will have kind of her usual debate where she doesn't get a lot of time, but she tries to take out someone. Hopefully, I think she should go after like Klobuchar, or maybe just double down.
Is that even worth it?
Yeah, well, she's kind of Klobuchar's closer to the center of the stage this time around than Yang, so she's higher in the polls. And
I think Klobuchar is going to be out soon.
I don't, because she just qualified for December. She's like on the up.
I know she's on the up. But I don't think it's inflated. Like
maybe it's a little
not real.
Maybe it's a little inflated, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's getting money, like some big dollar donors.
Actually, I haven't heard about her fundraising numbers really. So I don't know how comparable that is.
Bernie, I think he'll probably just have his usual like strong debate performance. It depends. If he gets in a back and forth with Yang can make him look bad. Steyer, non-existent on the stage. Oh, we haven't talked about Warren.
Dude, I want someone to go after Warren. I think Yang's the man.
Yeah. Oh, this reminded me of something. I think that there is a lot. The media before these debates, they like to look for little like narratives. So the last debate, they had the
Beto and Pete and Booker narrative.
Yeah. Before that debate, they literally had it in one of their CNN articles as like things to watch during the debate. Booker and Beto and Pete have been feuding publicly on Twitter for weeks. And 3 times in the past week, Yang's been asked like directly about Warren's healthcare plan. And he's basically been like, yeah, no. Well, not like that, but in a much more respectful and intelligent way. Basically just saying it's not a good idea or realistic. Basically, that's what he says. It's optimistically unrealistic.
Not a good plan.
I think if the moderators go, Andrew Yang, you have said that Warren's healthcare plan is blank, blank, blank quote he said about it. Senator Warren, Andrew Yang has said that your healthcare plan is overly optimistic. How do you respond to that? Back and forth. That would be lovely. But I don't have a lot of expectations for this debate because I just don't feel that MSNBC will do a good job. They did a terrible job in the first debate. As in Yang got 4 minutes of time. They had questions where they were raising hands.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is that?
I don't think this debate is going to be like I don't think a lot of change is going to happen in this debate until we really get... The debates will be more important when the stage gets smaller.
Which is why December is so important to qualify. Yeah.
But really, the only way to properly attack Warren, I think, is the wealth tax. You have to go after it because it's how she funds all her plans, and it's flawed. So if someone can just go in there, no one brings it up. No one like refutes the wealth tax. She'll just talk about it, and then they'll...
Because the way the Democratic Party is set up is there's such a disdain for billionaires and like rich people right now in the Democratic Party. So people are afraid to go after Elizabeth Warren on the wealth tax because then it's like you're defending billionaires. Dude. But what Yang is doing, he's not defending billionaires. He's saying, I have a tax that is better and way more efficient to get the money from the billionaires. And Warren's wealth tax, like, I mean,
there's a lot of unintended consequences from the wealth tax.
But like just between ourselves, I mean, it would not raise anywhere near the money.
Well, I think Warren is going to get killed in the general. I don't understand why they're not attacking her plans.
Well, dude, this debate is going to be actually, in one way, this debate will be interesting because I think people are going to start. They have to start going at each other.
They need to. They need to start drawing contrasts.
Yes, so I think with Pete's surge, I think people will go after Pete. Kind of how people went after Warren in the last debate a lot.
Yeah,
Warren. There's really no. The weird thing is, last debate, like before last debate, Biden was the front runner. Last debate, Warren was the front runner. This debate, there's not really a front runner because the polls have gotten really tight.
Honestly, I think Sanders is the front runner. That's my opinion, though. I really think he's going to be the hardest candidate to beat.
I know he has a ton of support. And I know you said last week that the polls probably underrepresent him, but in one poll, he was down to like 14% in New Hampshire. And that's one over from Vermont.
Yeah.
I know Bernie's support is solid, and I certainly could see him winning the nomination.
Dude, it's going to be all about the money, I think. Who raises the most? That's what it's going to come down to.
Oh, yeah. The money is important.
Like, Yang has to be hitting at least close to the numbers that Sanders and Pete are polling.
I think there is a real shot that Yang will outraise Biden this quarter.
Yeah, but based off of last quarter, that was a pretty bad quarter for Biden.
Yeah, but do you see Biden improving?
No.
Exactly. And Yang, we know, is improving.
Wait, what did Biden get last quarter?
15.3, I believe.
Oh, okay.
And Yang's on pace to raise over 15 mil this quarter.
Yeah, he just hit his recent goal for the TV ads.
And 1 million in 7 days. So let's talk about those TV ads that
Oh yeah, we got some new ads coming out. Which one do you want to talk about first, Matt? There's Our Son. Let's roll the clip.
Andrew and I can't imagine what it's like to have a child who is sick and you can't help them. Our oldest son has special needs. We can care for him, but thousands of parents without health care can't. If my husband, Andrew Yang, is president, he'll fight for Medicare for all, including mental health coverage.
And companies like Amazon will start paying taxes to pay for it. I'm Andrew Yang, and I approve this message.
Okay, I actually really liked this ad, and I'll explain why. In the last poll that, the one that Yang got this week, that was his second qualifying poll, which was a 4% Quinnipiac poll in New Hampshire, he had 8% of the male vote and just 1% of the female vote. That is a huge gap. And imagine if he had 8% of the male vote and 8% of the female vote. That would put him at 8% in the polls in New Hampshire. That would be a big deal. So we really need to close that gap. And I think in terms of speaking to women, that ad is very effective because it has children. It has the mom saying, not the mom, Evelyn. I really liked how Evelyn said, she first said that we have a family with an autistic child. And then she said something along the lines of like, but we're fortunate enough to where we can provide for him. And then I liked how she used that kind of as a transition to go into saying, but there's so many families who don't have that. It shows a level of empathy, I think, with like acknowledging, you know what I mean? And just coming from, you know, a mom, a woman, a parent.
Yeah. It's also a unique like stance for Yang to go on, because a lot of politicians in the past, they've had like autistic family members and they don't bring it up. Yeah, like they were almost kind of like shunned away. Yeah, and Yang's being very open with it, and I think it will do a good job of like getting empathy with a lot of vototers. I think it's a pretty. He good
does
ad.
say like I'm definitely not the first person running for president with an autistic family member. But for some reason, for whatever reason, I'm the first one to talk about it. I also liked that it said on the screen, like, mental health, because that's just such an there's just not enough focus on mental health in this country, especially with, like, the way we handle drug policy and stuff, because usually mental health issues and drug problems go, like, hand in hand. Yeah, we treat drug problems like crime. Addiction as a crime, all the more reason to vote for Yang. Yeah. But what do you think of Yang coming in at the end? Because I'll be honest, I was watching Problem Solver Politics last night, and they didn't, at first they didn't seem to like how Yang came in at the end, like, because they felt like it was a very, like, kind of warm, like,
well, he was in the video
message
throughout it.
Yeah, but he didn't speak till the end. And then they were saying that he came in at the end and kind of was like a harsh tone at the end. But then after rewatching it, they were like, oh, maybe we kind of just got a little carried away with that.
You also have to realize it's a Yang ad for president. So, like, they have to make sure that he's there at the end.
Like, that's what Cardin on PSP was arguing.
Yeah. So it's like they're not going to... There's almost no point in having an ad that's just if it was just a nice shot of the family and they didn't, like, tie it back to Yang 2020... at the end.
Yeah. Overall, I like this ad a lot.
Yeah. I was listening to an interview, I think it was on Nerds for Yang, the last time Yang was on there. I was watching that today. And I believe Yang said that, like, Evelyn as first lady, one of her like priorities would be like working with like special needs education and that kind of stuff. So I think this is definitely a first step into getting her involved in that kind of role.
Yeah, I think she's also the first spouse to, like, be featured in another candidate's campaign ad.
Oh, Chasten hasn't made it in yet?
Maybe he has. I'm not sure. No, he's definitely been in an ad. I mean, like, the main focal point of the ad. Yeah. That was an Evelyn ad. That was an Evelyn Yang ad. All right.
The secret weapon.
So the next ad was called Paycheck. Yeah, Paycheck. All right.
Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, while the greatest technological shift in history displaces millions. I'm Andrew Yang. My nonprofit, Venture for America, helped create thousands of new jobs. I'm not a politician, I'm offering something different. A universal basic income that offers a lifeline to your family to get ahead, pay for childcare, or further your education. I'm Andrew Yang. I approve this message because it's time to end a paycheck-to-paycheck America and begin a new way forward.
You have some more positive thoughts on this one than I do, so why don't you start?
Let me start with what I think your criticism is going to be.
Oh, my God.
Is it going to be about how he was talking about Venture for America in it?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a part that I think was important, that he emphasized that he created a whole bunch of jobs for Venture for America, because it kind of like contrasts with the idea that universal basic income would somehow be like a work replacement, and Yang doesn't care about jobs or that kind of stuff. So I think when you like juxtapose those things next to each other, it kind of alleviates that feeling. Like if you're watching it, you wouldn't get that idea across. And I personally think the idea of hammering it on like the paycheck to paycheck aspect of it, I think that's a very good marketing technique for universal basic income. That because like 70% of the country or something is living paycheck to paycheck, so it connects with a lot of people.
All right, so here's my critiques. I actually agree with like everything you said. I think the ad itself has a great message, but one critique I have is I thought Yang's tone came off like a little weird. Like it doesn't sound like Andrew Yang, like the way he was talking. Does that make sense to you?
I don't know. I didn't really hear it, but
this is like, maybe this is just me, but, and maybe because I'm used to like listening to him, like, and it works better on a voter who's like never heard of him before. He's basically doing like it sounded like he was doing like his radio voice the same way I do mine when we do our like narration videos.
He definitely was.
Okay. I'm probably just being overcritical.
You're saying it didn't sound like authentic Yang.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. It didn't sound like, when I heard it, it sounded politician-y. The tone, not the message. The tone of voice sounded a little politician-y. Minor thing.
I think it's just how making ads
I still like
goes.
the ad. And then the other complaint I have is even way more minor. I didn't like how they reused footage from the first ad at the beginning of this second ad with the factory and the truck on the highway. You know, you got to be original. I'm just kidding. I guess if that's like, it's good B-roll. If it works, keep using it.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with everything you said, though. I think tying it to the paycheck, because that's something that just so many.
They probably did like market research, and that was probably the best like group to target universal basic income at. And I think that makes sense because it's the largest group and the message applies to them very well.
Yeah, so. I'm trying to think of a word here. I think the paycheck to paycheck line hits home with a lot of people watching because it's true that so many people are living paycheck to paycheck, and it does bring so much stress. Which that's why I want Yang so badly, because you give the people more money, their stress goes down. Suddenly they're able. Oh my gosh,
you're in love.
I am.
Other breaking news this week.
Breaking news.
All right, so Deval Patrick.
Who?
Exactly. He announced that he is running for president.
Another candidate?
Yeah, right after Michael Bloomberg, you know.
Yeah, it's weird how from the September debate to the October debate, somehow the stage number of candidates went from 10 to 12. And it's now weird how in November we're not decreasing candidates, we're increasing candidates. What is going on?
I have no idea. I was not expecting more people to jump in. I can't wait for Hillary to jump in.
I thought when I saw the articles like talking about all the jumping in, I kind of thought it was just like
media farce, just nonsense.
Like, just get clicks,
pushing a narrative.
Yeah, but now it's actually happening. They're jumping in.
Yeah, and if you don't know who Deval Patrick is, I don't blame you because I don't think most people do. He's the former governor of Massachusetts, and he also worked for Bain Capital. And I was listening to an NPR podcast on the way here, and apparently he's actually good friends with Obama. And they were speculating that maybe Obama
There's
gave
my
him the
Trump
little whisper to get in the race.
No. Obama needs to support Yang. What are you doing, Barack?
I know. Who's this Deval Patrick guy?
Give me some Andrew Yang.
But Matt, with Deval Patrick and like Michael Bloomberg entering the race, I think both of them benefit Yang because it splits that centrist vote more. But the thing that I'm worrying about this with the splitting of the centrist kind of vote, I think it strengthens Bernie and Warren significantly because they're kind of pillars of the progressive side. So with this, like, all these new, like, moderate candidates kind of, like, filtering in, it's going to split that vote more. And I don't see that being good.
Well, here's one thing. In one of the new polls that came out, it showed supporters based on...
Oh, are you going to go with the point that they don't vote based on ideology?
Well, I was thinking about that, but I thought of a better one. In one of the new polls, there was it had a section on, like, how... Are you definitely voting for this candidate, or are you still open to others? Mm-hmm. And Warren was like 73% still open to others, with only like 20 something percent.
Which is why Yang needs to hit her with the wealth tax.
So what I'm saying is, even though like more centrists are getting going into the race, Warren's support especially is still very flimsy, because it wasn't long ago. It was just July where she was in like single digits or whatever.
I'm calling it right now. Warren is not going to be in this race by the end of it. That is my prediction. Bold prediction.
Well, she's going to be in the race for a long time, so you're basically just saying she's not going to be the nominee.
Not going to finish in the top 3
by the end.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's bold.
Yep.
She would have to have a really big collapse by then.
No, I think she will, and I think she'll probably end up being Bernie's VP if Bernie wins.
Dude, a Bernie Warren ticket, I don't think that beats Trump.
No, if I was Bernie, I wouldn't pick Warren, but he likes Warren.
If I was Bernie, I'd try to pick someone. If I was Bernie, I would pick a VP who.
If I was Bernie, I'd pick Yang.
That actually would be a good pick. I don't think of which candidate to put Yang with as a VP, because I'm focused on Yang as
for P.
Just the P. Yep.
Dude, all Yang needs to do to win is grow. Name recognition and money.
Yeah. And I think most people in the Yang gang know that, which is why everyone's, phone banking, canvassing, text banking, pushing for 30 mil for Yang. In terms of the other candidates, I actually think the whole Bloomberg thing is going to turn out to be a huge farce, because the deadline to file for one of the early states just passed and he didn't file. I think it was New Hampshire. And I was reading some article, or maybe it was a video, that basically said his strategy would be to skip all 4 early states.
I also saw this.
And only start in like Super Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So I'm starting to think, like,
which is an absurd strategy, but
is he even gonna run? Like, I think it's more like get himself on the news, get a feeler out there.
Actually, dude, maybe that's not a horrible strategy if you skip the first 4 and then just focus, because everyone's attention will be on those early states. So if you focus all your attention on later states,
well, this is what the quote.
But he's not even declaring.
The quote that I read, like from his like spokesman or strategist or whatever, was basically like, we're going to run a national campaign while everyone else like plants down in these 4 states. And which I guess is a good plan, considering that 90% of the delegates come like after those first 4 states. So, and he has the money to run a national campaign, but I just think it's so late. I don't even want to talk about these freaking people entering the race anymore. If you wanted to run for president, you should have started like 2 years ago when Yang did. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. Next topic.
Oh, okay. So there was a YouGov/Economist poll that came out this week, and the poll was about like crossover support between Trump voters, who they would vote for in the Democratic primary. And you wouldn't be surprised, but Yang was one of the big winners in the poll. So how the poll broke down was Tulsi was at 21%, which actually kind of surprised me. 21 is a very high percentage of Trump voters. But then Bernie was at 15% and Yang was at 13. And then after that, there was a significant drop off. Like I think the next highest was like 6.
Before we go into what we're about to talk about, I just want to say a Yang Tulsi ticket would destroy Trump.
Oh my God.
It is
dude.
not even
brutal.
close. It would, I actually think like it would be like the first election since 2008 where it's legit been like a whopping defeat.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was just a quick one-off. What we're going at here is, why do you think these candidates, these 3 in particular, are getting crossover support, whereas the other Democrats are not?
It's because they're authentic and kind of populist. That's why they're kind of resonating. People are kind of tired of like the corporate Democrat,
Exactly.
the standard Democrat kind of centrist vibe. And you can tell with Bernie, Tulsi, and Yang, they 100% believe in what they say, and it's like founded in like, I don't know, maybe ideology is not the right word because.
Well, I mean, Trump and Bernie have like complete. I mean, they overlap in like some areas like trade, but overall they're complete opposites of each other. But 15% of people would vote for both Trump or Bernie,
and a lot of Bernie people went to Trump in 2016.
that is also true.
It's the populism. That's what it is.
I think it's so many voters went to Trump because he was the outsider candidate, and these 3 in the Democratic
the
field,
outsider.
those are the 3 outsiders. Everyone else is kind of inside the system.
Even Warren, she's an insider.
Yeah, dude. Marianne Williamson had a clip yesterday. She was like, "What even is an outsider? How can you be like outside like a democracy?" No.
That's just like a.
It was in the context of It was in the context of her saying, "I love Andrew," and then telling the CNN host that she shouldn't be laughing at him. So it would make more. It would come off better if you had seen the full clip. I guess you don't pay attention to the awesome stuff I put out on Twitter.
Nah, dude, it's all nonsense. Just kidding. Yeah, good work, Matt. Crossover polls. The main point here is that the outsider candidates were.
Those are the ones that
got
are going
crossover.
to. Those are the ones that are going to be able to beat Trump.
Yeah.
Warren is not going to beat Trump.
No.
It's just not going to happen. She could win the popular vote, but she's not going to. She would still probably lose the Electoral College. There was a big thing in the media a few weeks ago. A bunch of New York Times polls came out of all the early states of Trump versus like the top 4, and Warren wasn't ahead of Trump in any of the 6 states they polled. They did like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, I think Florida, like all those. She wasn't ahead in any of them against Trump. And there's a lot of polls that come out where Biden will be at like 55 and Trump at like 42.
Yeah.
So.
And I think this is the strongest Warren will be. I don't see her growing in the general. I think she's a weak general election
candidate.
candidate.
Warren's maxed out her support.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dude, this is such a wild primary.
Oh, it's going to get even wilder.
Like, I have no clue who's going to win. We hope for Yang. I mean, I truly feel that Yang can win.
Yeah. We both want Yang, and we both see he has a lane. He has an opportunity. But if you were a betting man right now,
like if I was a betting man,
who's getting? I have my bet of who I think has the highest chance.
You said Bernie.
I think Bernie has the highest chance of winning.
I have no idea. I could see Bernie winning. I could see Biden somehow holding on and winning. I could even see Buttigieg winning Iowa, winning New Hampshire, and then
that'd be insane.
Yeah, and then his whole next Obama thing would become a reality. Do you think Buttigieg could beat Trump?
I think he'd perform well in the debates against Trump.
That's true. I think it would be close.
It would be a close race, but he gets no black support.
Yeah, well, that's the whole problem. Yeah,
And the whole like Blexit thing with like some like black people moving to the conservative and Republican Party. That's kind of been a movement in the past like 2 years or so, or they're trying to make it into a movement.
Well, that's like what's her face,
Candace Owens.
Yeah, I don't know how successful that actually is.
I think it actually has done some shift for like 2 to like maybe 5% kind of shift in the black community. and with like Kanye West and stuff like coming out.
I guess what I think about Pete is I kind of see him as while he would do well like on a debate stage against Trump, while he would look good when you put him next to Trump. Like when you look at those two, you're like, okay, I'll go with Pete. I think the problem with him is he's not offering enough change. At the end of the day, he might sound good, he might look good, he might make you feel good, but what is he offering that's actually going to change your day-to-day life? And Hillary Clinton's problem in 2016 was she didn't have really anything, and the African-American voters didn't come out to support her in the general like they did Obama. Why are you smiling so much, Mr.
Because
Smiles?
I was going to bring up that I was watching a Secular Talk video earlier, and they were talking about Hillary entering the race, and apparently there's rumors that if she enters, she's going to go far left.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
But that would just be the stupidest thing ever.
It'd be crazy.
Dude, if Hillary enters this race, I'm convinced. If Hillary enters the race, I'll be convinced we're in a simulation. We're in like a simulated TV show. Because it could just not get any better than that.
I would love if Hillary.
Dude, it would just throw the field into complete disarray.
It'd be awesome.
Warren support would
honestly, I think it increases Yang.
It probably does. Because I think if Hillary enters the race, whose voters does she take? She probably gets whatever is left
Little
of
Biden,
Kamala.
little Warren, little Kamala.
I think she gets whatever's left of
Maybe
Kamala,
a little Pete.
Takes half of Warren. I think she takes a little bit of Biden and even a little bit of Pete.
Maybe even some Amy Klobuchar. Maybe she loses some.
Maybe. I see Klobuchar supporters as like people who really are like moderate centrist Democrats.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that they like if that doesn't, I don't know.
I could see voting for Amy Klobuchar in like as like a congresswoman or a senator.
But
like as a presidential candidate, she doesn't get me like enthused.
I used to like Klobuchar, as in I thought she was one of the better like Democratic senators. And then she just comes off, at least in interviews I've seen, she seems very like full of herself, almost like I feel like in private she's very like condescending, and she did have the whole scandal like throwing like shit at her staff. What's the number one goal for the Yang Gang right now? To make the December debate.
Oh yeah, but that's gonna happen in the bag already.
Well, it's gonna happen. I think it's like 28 days or whatever left. He has 28 days to get 2 polls, and here's the thing: 5 polls are coming out in the next 24 hours. There's going to be a CNN Iowa poll on Saturday night. That's tonight. There's going to be 4 polls on Sunday morning from CBS YouGov of all the early states: South Carolina, Nevada, however you say that, Iowa, New Hampshire. Is it a given that Yang gets a qualifier just out of the one New Hampshire? You would think so, right? Because that's his strongest state.
I could see him getting in Iowa.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can see him.
With
him
all
getting
the ad buys.
I'm seeing
how recent is his polling? Is it
like his
over the past week?
He hit 3% in like 1 or 2 Iowa polls this week. Like
when was the polling taken?
I'm not sure.
Because if it was taken post the first ad buy in Iowa, then I could see definitely him getting a qualifier.
Well, the fact that it's coming out like today means it was done recently.
I know, but it could be done like with like half.
You'll
before
see.
that
When the poll comes out, you can see what days it was taken on.
Yeah, I was just asking.
I think here's what I think. I think he'll get it. I think he'll get his 3rd qualifier out of New Hampshire, and if he didn't, that would be I think that would actually be like a huge disappointment. And then I don't see him getting it in South Carolina, just because that's his weakest early state, mainly because it's the state he's spent the least amount of time in.
Yeah, he's only been there a few times.
Yeah,
right?
Biden is just such a stronghold on South Carolina.
Powerhouse.
I think what's going to happen is if Biden does finally have that thing where he really falls, then the candidates will start heading to South Carolina.
But if that hasn't happened yet, what would make it happen?
Well, he's starting. His fall is finally starting, even though he still leads nationally. In Nevada
In the States, he's
in every early state except South Carolina, he's not in the top. Like, he's competitive, but he's not the dominant force he is in the national
That's because he's
polls.
not really. I feel like he's not focusing there at all. I think he's kind of like, yeah, we're losing those states.
Well, they've said that, but at the same time, I think it's more like the voters in those early states, they're paying more attention than the average voter because they have the earliest primaries, which means they've seen Biden more than the average general population, and they're like, yikes. I don't know. I can see Yang. I think Yang will get the third poll from New Hampshire no matter what, and then I can see him. I think there's maybe a 50-50 shot that out of the Nevada and the 2 Iowa polls that he gets another qualifier out of those 3. And if so, Yang-a-Palooza V2 on Sunday, it's going to be double the party it already was.
Celebrating for December.
Dude, I'm really interested to see what the January debate qualifications are going to be.
I hope they raise the stakes.
I do too,
but it has to be raised just enough that Yang still makes it.
That's what they've been doing. Yeah. But I think by the end of December, I think we'll start to actually see some movement, like another 2 months in the polls. I think there'll be some shifting around.
I'm ready for some change.
I'm ready for some change too.
We've been kind of stuck with the same general polling numbers, other than like a little Pete surge and like that kind of stuff. Welcome to the fun clip of the week. All right, so we're going to do a little sports segment for all of you. All right, so on Thursday Night Football this week, there was a crazy play with defensive end Myles Garret of the Cleveland Browns. There was a fight, and let's just roll the clip right now.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. Rips the helmet off Rudolph's head and then eventually swings it and hits him in the head. And then Ogunjobi comes up and hits Rudolph from behind. Beyond words, Joe. Oh, my gosh. That's one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Dude, that's wild. What happened to the player?
So he's been suspended indefinitely for the remainder of this season.
And like forever?
They don't know yet. This just happened yesterday, so it's not really.
You know what the
news.
crazy thing about sports is?
Yeah.
In like football, hockey, you can literally get into like fights on the field. In baseball, you can like chuck a baseball at like someo's head. Yeah. And if that were just in like the normal like day-to-day life, you'd be charged with like attempted murder or like
the quarterback
assault
for the Steelers, Mason Rudolph, his attorney or whatever is thinking of pressing charges against the guy for hitting him.
I mean, you freaking should. Boom.
But the thing is that
no
player
joke.
that did that though, he's so good, dude. So it's like he was a number 1 overall pick,
for real.
Yeah. So this is like a big Myles Garrett. He's basically like a genetic freak of a human. Like he's jacked.
Basically like a super talented player ended his career with a really stupid move. Is there
but he'll probably play again. But this season,
he's done for like this year.
They're gonna make an example out of him.
Yes,
too.
My guess is he could play in the NFL again, but it's not going to be for at least 2 years.
Oh, that's harsh, dude. He's so good,
dude. I mean, look how they treated Ray Rice. I mean, his was like
that's
domestic violence, but he never got another team.
Yeah,
dude, that's brutal. Dude, imagine. That's basically how the election versus Trump's going to be.
All right.
Dude, it's going to be wild.
It's going to be crazy.
I am so excited for the first presidential debate. Dude,
I cannot wait for Trump to be debating again.
I know.
It's so much fun.
I want to see his new form. Like his.
All right. Thank you guys for watching episode 6 of the Zach and Matt Show.
Make sure you check out Ted's stream and Yang Gang Pink Hat.
Oh, yeah.
And Fred the Felon Truck.
And make sure to come say hi to us this weekend in Vegas.
Yeah. If you're in Vegas, make sure you come up, say hi.
Put the money in our hands. 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 Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation?
Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.